History is written by consequences. An event happens. People die, or markets collapse, or a government falls. The event leaves a mark. A record, a hearing, a lesson learned document, a name on a list of things that must never happen again. The CIA has been blamed for many events. The fall of the Shah, the weapons that weren't there, the morning of September 11th. Here is the thing about all of those events. They happened. They left marks. History recorded them. What history cannot record? What has no museum wall, no headline, no hearing? Are the events that didn't happen. The attack that was stopped the week before it was ready. The government that didn't fall because someone found out about the coup 6 days early. The weapons program that was never finished because the scientist who ran it was quietly encouraged to reconsider his career. Those events left no mark because they never happened. And because they never happened, there is no record that they almost did. The CIA is the only institution in America judged almost entirely by its failures. Not because it fails more than it succeeds, but because its successes, by definition, never happened. This is the story of spending 30 years inside that paradox. You are 23 years old. You don't know any of this yet. You just need to pass the polygraph. Level 1. The applicant. You're 23 years old. You have a degree in international relations. You speak Farsi at a conversational level. And Mandarin badly enough that you've stopped telling people you speak it. You applied online 6 months ago. The form looked like it was built for a water authority. You submitted it and received a confirmation email that contained no information about what would happen next. Or when. Since then, they have spoken to your first grade teacher. They have reviewed your bank statements from age 18. They have a file on a $47 bounced check from 2021 that you had genuinely forgotten. The process is called a background investigation. It is thorough in a way the word thorough was not designed to contain. The polygraph examiner has done this for 22 years. He has the expression of a man who has heard every category of human secret. And concluded that, as a category, secrets are less interesting than people believe. He asks about drug use, foreign contacts, whether you have ever been approached by a representative of a foreign government. Your hands are sweating. The machine records the sweat. You pass. On the third attempt. The first two were inconclusive. A word they use carefully to mean something they won't specify. A woman in a blue lanyard gives you a form. You may not disclose your employer. Not to family, not to doctors, not to anyone without an equivalent clearance level. For the duration of your employment. Potentially after. You sign. What the polygraph selects for is this. People who can keep secrets under sustained pressure. This is exactly the trait the agency needs. It is also, it turns out, exactly the trait the agency's worst enemies have. The CIA will spend 30 years not fully resolving that particular irony. You don't know that yet. You just know you passed. That's level 1. Level 2. The trainee. You're 24 years old. You are somewhere in rural Virginia. The facility's name is Camp Perry. It covers 9.000 acres. Your cohort has 41 people. A former federal prosecutor. 2 Army veterans. A woman who speaks 8 languages and does not explain this. You will know their first names in 6 months. You will never know their last names. 9 of them will be gone by month 4. No one will explain where. You are learning tradecraft. In week 3, an instructor tells your class something you will carry for the next 30 years. He says, the most dangerous intelligence is the intelligence that arrives without rough edges. Information with no contradictions. No inconvenient details. No gaps that require explanation. That information is usually being manufactured by someone who wants you to have it. He says it while eating. He does not look up. The epistemological foundation of American intelligence has been delivered while a man finishes a turkey club. You are paying close attention. Because the man with the sandwich has spent 20 years in rooms where inattention had consequences that do not appear in any public record. That is the other thing you learn at the farm. And nobody teaches it directly. The operations that worked left no visible mark on the world. The 9.000 acre facility you are standing in exists because of the operations that didn't. You pass the final assessment. A woman in a blue lanyard. Different woman, same lanyard. Calls you on a Tuesday. You're going overseas. Level 2. You keep the sandwich. Level 3. The junior operations officer. You're 26 years old. You are living under a different name in a city that will not be named in this account. Your cover is a trade consulting firm. 4 colleagues. 2 of them real. Your actual work is cartography. Not maps. People. You attend embassy receptions, university events, industry dinners. You build a contact list across 12 months of conversations that look like socializing and function as mapping. Foreign ministry officials, academics, business executives with government adjacency. You file reports on every meeting. Encrypted. Back to a building in Virginia you are not currently allowed to enter. 8 months in, you have a potential asset. A mid-level foreign ministry official who drinks more than he intends to. Who holds opinions about his government that he expresses with more candor than his government would prefer. 6 meetings, 6 cables back to Langley. And then something small. Across the room, at this reception, there is a man you recognize from your building. Different department, different access level. His name is WESTON. His apartment costs more than his pay grade explains. His car is new. His watch, not a Casio. You file this observation in the part of your mind where you keep things you haven't named yet. You don't write a report. You tell yourself it's nothing. Intelligence officers are trained to detect anomalies in other people. The training does not include a module on what to do when the anomaly works in the same building as you. And you'd rather be wrong than start that particular process. You'd rather be wrong. That's level 3. Level 4. The case officer. You're 30 years old. Second posting. Different city. You have an asset. His cryptonym is CARDINAL. His Tuesday walks. His cardiologist's prescription. His daughter at the university in the wrong country. His 2 motivations. 1 real, 1 for the mirror. You know which is which. CARDINAL has been producing for 16 months. A Langley cable called his reporting actionable intelligence of significant value. You don't know what was done with it. You know how to be satisfied with not knowing. This quarter, 3 of your cables to Langley were flagged as inconsistent with reporting from another officer in the station. Langley categorized the inconsistency as analytical uncertainty. It was not analytical uncertainty. Someone in your building is filing cables designed to muddy the water on your reporting. To raise doubt about CARDINAL's access level. To plant the idea, not explicitly, just structurally, that the intelligence you are producing cannot be fully trusted. You don't know this yet. Langley doesn't know this yet either. Or if they do, it is sitting in a stack on a committee desk, waiting for something more urgent to move first. In the intelligence world, the person working against you most effectively is rarely the one in the foreign ministry you're penetrating. It's the one who knows exactly which cables matter, which operations are live, and which committee has too many active cases to open another one this month. That's level 4. CARDINAL walks on Tuesdays. Someone else is watching the Tuesdays. You don't know that yet. Level 5. Senior case officer. You're 35 years old. Back at Langley between postings. On a Tuesday afternoon, you read the counterintelligence report on Weston. 11 years at the agency. He sold the identities of 31 assets to a foreign intelligence service over 9 years. 14 were compromised. 9 were recalled. 2 were imprisoned. 3 did not come home. He drove a car his salary did not explain. He lived in an apartment at $3,200 a month on a GS-14 income. His watch was not a Casio. You knew all of this. You filed nothing. Page 9 contains a paragraph you will think about for the remaining 20 years of your career. On the day of Weston's arrest, a Thursday morning in February, he had already typed a cable designed to burn Cardinal. The cable contained Cardinal's real name, his contact pattern, his meeting locations, and the name of the officer running him. Your name. The cable was encrypted and sent at 8:47 in the morning. It reached a foreign intelligence handler at 9:12 a.m. At 1:34 that afternoon, the handler was arrested by a European counterintelligence service who had been running a parallel operation that nobody at Langley knew about. The cable was intercepted as part of that arrest. Cardinal was never told. The foreign service never reached him. Cardinal survived. Not because of your tradecraft. Not because of your counter-surveillance. Not because of the protocols you ran without deviation for 18 months. Cardinal survived because on a Thursday in February, at 1:34 p.m., a European intelligence officer who had been working a completely separate case for completely separate reasons arrested the right man 3 hours and 47 minutes after Weston sent the cable. You were not told this. The counterintelligence report says only asset Cardinal was not compromised. It does not say why. The why is classified above your current access level. The CIA produces detailed after-action reports on every operation that fails. The operation that saved Cardinal did not belong to the CIA. It does not appear in any CIA report. Your 18 months of perfect tradecraft is what the report credits. You know better. You will always know better. And you will never say so. Level 5. The folder goes back in the drawer. The clock reads 5:03 p.m. Level 6. Chief of Station. You're 45 years old. 11 officers. 23 active assets. 3 of last month's president's daily brief items came from this station. You know which 3. This week, one of your operations produced something. A network your station has been building for 14 months. Carefully, without corners cut. With the kind of slow geometry that only works if no one is impatient. That network has just provided advance notice of an action that would have produced consequences you are not cleared to fully describe here. The action will not happen now. In 3 years, no one will know this operation existed. There will be no congressional hearing about the event that didn't happen. No inquiry, no process review, no lessons learned document, no citation in any public record. The operation worked. The event didn't happen. History has nothing to record about a thing that didn't occur. The same week, a different operation produced a result that did not go as planned. A source was recalled. A cable chain was compromised. Langley noticed. An inquiry was opened. A lessons learned document will be produced. The failure will inform doctrine for the next decade. You have been doing this long enough to understand the asymmetry completely. In this institution, failure accumulates into memory. Success evaporates into nothing. There is a version of the CIA's history that exists in classified archives. In lessons learned documents. In congressional oversight files. A meticulous record of everything the agency got wrong. There is also a version of the CIA's history that does not exist anywhere. Because it consists of things that didn't happen. Which are, by definition, impossible to file. That's level 6. The operation worked. Nobody will know. Level 7. Division Chief. You're 51 years old. 12 stations. 83 officers. 140 pages of cable traffic every morning. Briefings for the deputy director twice a week. The reporting your division produces reaches the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of State, and occasionally the President. In filtered form. That word is carrying significant weight in that sentence. Here is something that takes 30 years to see clearly. Imagine you are a doctor. Your patient comes in convinced he has a vitamin deficiency. You run every available test. The results say it is something harder. Something that requires changes the patient has already decided he will not make. You explain this. He nods. He finds a different doctor. The second doctor reads the same results through the eyes of someone who needs this patient to remain satisfied. Whose referrals come from this patient's network? Whose practice depends on relationships this patient represents? The second doctor finds the vitamin deficiency. He is not lying. He is reading correctly inside a system that selects, at every level, for the conclusions it can sustain. The CIA operates at the intersection of two things that are fundamentally incompatible. The first is intelligence. The disciplined pursuit of truth regardless of whether the truth is convenient, actionable, or welcome. The second is policy. The disciplined pursuit of outcomes that can be defended to an electorate that did not read the classified annex. These two things have been introduced to each other at the level of division chief and above. Every day, for the last 78 years. They have not worked it out. Level 7, page 47. Keep reading. Level 8, Deputy Director of the CIA. You're 57 years old. 7 hours and 41 minutes of confirmation testimony. You attend National Security Council meetings when the director is unavailable. You testify before oversight committees twice a year. A senator asks you how the agency failed to predict the event that everyone in this room has agreed to call the intelligence failure. You do not say, the dissenting analysis was in paragraph 7 of the classified annex. You do not say, the person who briefed the Security Council was given a policy document and asked to present it as an assessment. You do not say, there are 17 operations in the last 3 years that prevented things from happening that this committee will never convene to discuss. Because you cannot convene a hearing about an event that didn't occur. Here is the problem with the hearing room. The CIA's greatest defense, the full evidence that the institution works, is classified. Disclosing it means disclosing methods. Disclosing methods burns ongoing operations. Burning ongoing operations produces the next hearing. So the CIA sits in a committee room every 2 years. Permanently unable to mount a complete defense of itself. Against charges it cannot fully refute. Using evidence it cannot fully show. And the public record accumulates the failures. Each one documented, each one productive of inquiry and doctrine. While the successes accumulate nowhere. Because they didn't happen. Because they left no mark. Because history is written by consequences and preventing a consequence prevents the history too. The Senate Oversight Committee is one of the most important mechanisms in the American democratic system. It is also, for the CIA, approximately equivalent to a doctor being reviewed by a board that can only read the cases where the patient died. The board means well. The board is doing exactly what it should do. The system has simply made half the evidence inadmissible. Level 8. The gavel comes down. Level 9. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. You're 61 years old. You brief the president every morning. 45 minutes. Every item in that briefing began with a human being risking their life to obtain something. It moved through 12 analysts, 4 layers of review, and 3 levels of language management. Each person making a small judgment about confidence levels, about emphasis, about what the room will find credible, before arriving at a document that must be understood in 45 minutes by someone who also has 16 other meetings today. You have been doing this for 11 months. In the 11th month of your tenure, you provide intelligence to the president that complicates a decision already substantially made. You provide it fully. The dissenting analysis, the alternative interpretations, the 78% confidence interval, and what the remaining 22% looks like. The decision goes through. 3 months later, an event doesn't happen. An attack that had been in planning, that you're reporting characterized with 78% confidence as entering its final operational phase, doesn't come. Not because the attackers lost interest. Because the decision made 3 months ago disrupted the logistical chain they depended on. The intelligence was right. The decision addressed it. Something didn't happen. There is no hearing. No inquiry. No document that says, this is what the intelligence prevented. The Situation Room does not convene to celebrate the non-event. Nobody knows. History is written by consequences. When the consequence is an event, an attack, a war, a crisis, history writes it down. The intelligence that failed to prevent it is examined, debated, documented, reformed, improved, cited for a generation. When the consequence is a non-event, when the attack doesn't come, when the crisis is stopped before it starts, history writes nothing. There is nothing to write. The intelligence worked. The prevention was real. And it left no trace in any document the public will ever be allowed to read. Level 9. The briefing starts at 7. Level 10. The former director. You're 67 years old. You wrote a memoir. The Publications Review Board held it for 14 months and returned it with 179 pages removed. The approved version is 338 pages. The 179 pages are where the story lives. Not just the failures. The ones already documented in public record. The ones the committee asked about. The ones that produced hearings and lessons learned, frameworks, and a generation of process improvement. Also the other 179 pages. The operations that worked. The attacks that didn't come. The governments that didn't fall. The programs that were stopped before they became crises that would have warranted hearings of their own. You sit on 2 corporate boards. You advise a firm that charges multinationals a consulting rate 4 times your former government salary. For access to 30 years of pattern recognition that you are not allowed to fully describe in the memoir that took 14 months to approve. You speak at universities. The students ask about the failures. They always ask about the failures. You give the answer you developed over 7 hours and 41 minutes of Senate confirmation testimony. You say, significant lessons were learned. You say, meaningful process improvements were implemented. Here is what 30 years inside this paradox actually teaches you. The CIA is not a knowledge problem. It has never been a knowledge problem. The most sophisticated intelligence apparatus in human history has never suffered from a shortage of knowledge. What it has suffered from, what every intelligence agency in the history of organized civilization has suffered from, is this. Knowledge that prevents a consequence prevents the memory of that knowledge too. History is written by consequences. Intelligence that works prevents consequences. The CIA's greatest work left no history. And so the institution sits permanently in the public record as an accumulation of failures. Each one real, each one documented, each one productive of inquiry and reform. While its successes sit in a different kind of record. No headlines, no hearings, no museum wall. Just the quiet arithmetic of things that didn't happen. Because someone was in a room in a country you'll never visit. Talking to a person you'll never name. Finding out something in time. The CIA is judged by its failures. Because its successes, by definition, never happened. That's level 10. And that's the only thing this job will never let you explain to anyone who wasn't inside it. Somewhere right now, in any university library that stays open past midnight, which is most of them, there is a 23-year-old reading about intelligence and power and the architecture of American foreign policy. They are going to apply. They are going to pass the polygraph on the third attempt. They are going to spend 30 years in rooms that don't appear on maps. Doing work that will not appear in any history that matters to them. Not because the work failed, but because the work that succeeds leaves no record that it happened. They don't know that yet. The second hand doesn't know what you know. It doesn't know about the non-events. Or the 179 pages. Or the Thursday morning in February when a European intelligence service ran a completely separate operation for completely separate reasons and saved a man whose handler spent 18 months believing it was the protocols. It just keeps moving. One level at a time.